Hi there folks, so this is a video for forest school leaders, but if you work in outdoor education or in bushcraft, it might also be a video that you'd be interested in. And what I'm going to talk about today is my forest school firelighting kit. It's what I always take out to me as part of my forest school. Now, gear in forest school or equipment isn't necessarily always a main focus. When we're in forest school, it's child-led participation, it's building a learning community, and it's looking for a kind of like a variety of ways to learn from experience. However, there are times where some groups may veer more towards firelighting. Now, some may just like to play games and look at climbing trees and learn through that. But I personally found a lot of groups that I lead are very drawn to fire and I have a lot of interest in it. You might find yourself doing really complicated firelighting sessions. You might go primitive and do fire by friction. It might be a simple case of doing understanding the fire triangle and building fires and learning the real basics of firecraft. Regardless of what you're doing, obviously through being child-led, that's where you'll be focusing on that area. But if you do, like me, find that you're often called upon for your fire lighting skills or your equipment, it could be for a cooking session, it could be to do an education session on what fire lighting is and what materials we can use and what equipment we have, then it's always good to have a solid fire lighting kit. There are those days as well where, as you know, you've been out, everything is sodden, it's hard to get the fire going. Last week we agreed that we're going to do cooking. Being out in the woods, nature doesn't always make things easy, but what you can do is get a solid fire lighting kit as a forest school leader. Now, my fire lighting kit is all contained in this pouch here. This is actually a new pouch and I'm not reviewing the pouch, but it's a Maxpedition pouch, and I chose this because it is very, very strong. But also, I really liked the layout. And the reason being is this layout means that I can find my equipment very easily and I can put it back nicely and it's all there on show for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, I'm going to get a closer look at some of these things and talk about those. Again, with forest school, you know, just like your forest school is something that you grow and you develop and you construct with your participants, your fire lighting kit is going to be much like that. It's going to be growing and constructing, changing all the time. This fire lighting kit is some of my standard stuff, but this might not be what I use in a year's time. We learn, we change, we adapt. Anyway, I'm going to change the camera and we're going to look at these in a bit more detail. Okay, so what do we have here at the moment within my little bag of tricks? I take a variety of pieces of equipment out with me, partly for education purposes, but in a lot of ways to make my life easier if I need to get a fire going quickly. And it's always best to have a solid piece of kit with you that is your kit. It's not going to get lost. Don't put this in your generic fire lighting kit that you're going to be handing out to participants. Sometimes it's just good to have something that you have. It's all there and you can get to it very quickly. I have a variety of fire lighting equipment here, some modern, some more primitive, some to help me with primitive fire lighting skills. So the first thing I'm going to take out is this. This is a Pro Camp Tech fire lighting stick. What this does is enables you to light fire in all weather conditions. It is basically a Tinder stick made of rope. You cut a piece of this off and you can light it fairly easily. Another good thing to have in your little kit is a knife for doing these little tasks with. So you take a bit of this off. I'm not going to do a massive amount on this today, this is not a review. And once you've taken some of this off, it doesn't need to be a lot, you can easily light this with a lighter. And you can see this will burn for a substantial amount of time. It's not going to go out like your cotton wool pads or anything like that. It's really good for getting the fires going, for getting them started. So that's the Procam Tech fat rope stick. I've lit fires with this in absolutely sudden weather. It's just a great addition to your fire lighting kit. It's good to have around, just so you can grab it in one of those dire days where you've just got a wet woodland, a wet environment, just to help that fire get going. Next up are wax cotton pads. These are amazing. They will get your fire lit and they burn for a really long time, particularly if you use beeswax with these. So this is paraffin wax from a candle, and this is beeswax. Beeswax burns for quite a long time, and that gives us a really nice smell. I use these particularly when it's a very rainy day and I need to get the fire going for cooking. All you need to do is tear these open just a little bit. You can either put a ferro rod to them or a match. Put these in your already prepared tinder bundle, your fire, and you're good to go. This will burn for a long time. If you've got the nice smelling ones, it'll even give off a bit of a smell. For different seasons, you could even add like different sorts of smells, like maybe pumpkin for Halloween, or even a bit of cinnamon for Christmas time. Might add to it, but the smell goes fairly quickly. Next up is my absolutely favourite way to light fire. Honestly, for me, flint and steel is probably the quickest and most interesting way to light fire. I do like using the hand drill. I never get tired of seeing an ember, but I do really like this traditional flint and steel. Again, UK curriculum is brilliant. I've used this sort of equipment to deliver a Viking, a session on the Vikings and how Vikings would have lit their fire. So I'm going to take you through this now and just show you again what a great piece of equipment you can add to your kit. So, get an old tin. This is burnt because I actually char the cloth that I need to use this as a fire lighter, and then I keep all my equipment in there. And what I have in here is carbon steel fire striker. Whoops. Piece of English flint. Quartz works, but flint is the way forward. Yes, you can use quartz, but just because of the sharpness of flint, you can get some really nice sparks off this. Obviously, when you are using it, bit of a health warning, you can cut yourself on flint. It is a sharp material. Be aware of that, and ensure your participants are aware also. I've found that the participants that I've worked with will spend a long time trying to get this to light and really enjoy that process, and I really think it connects them, if you do a history session, to our ancestors and how they developed their fire lighting practices and skills. I keep a piece of leather on top of this so this and this doesn't rub that charred cloth, because it can be quite weak. And again, after a bit of practice, you become fairly proficient at this fire lighting method. This flint actually isn't the best, but we'll give it a go. There we go. And hopefully you can see that ember going there. And again, you drop this into a tinder bundle, blow it to flame, and you've got your fire going. Next up, of course, we've got matches. After practicing with a hand drill and reading a couple of articles on how difficult hand drill is, I agree that perhaps matches were invented because of how difficult fire lighting was with the hand drill. Joke aside, not actually as easy as you think to light fires with a single match, particularly if the wind takes that the heat away from it. However, again, matches are a great way to teach the fire triangle, because what do you have in a match? You have the initial ignition heat source, you have oxygen to keep it going, and then you have fuel to keep it burning. And what I find children or participants in forest school learn very quickly is actually a one stick fire is not that easy to accomplish if you've not got this technique down. Yes, a modern way of lighting, always worth keeping a box of matches in your kit. 1 for firelighting practice yourself, 2 for ease, but 3 for the educational purpose. And then of course we've got lighters. Simple. They don't need an introduction. I keep mine quite brightly coloured so I can see them on the forest floor really easily. Always keep a lighter just in case, again, you need to get that fire going, you want it going quickly. Sometimes you have those really cold days and sometimes children aren't really happy just to sit and wait for a fire to get going, or to see your amazing bow drill technique or hand drill technique, or the or flint and steel, whatever. It just needs to go quickly. The humble lighter is brilliant for that. Always keep 1 or 2 in your pack just to be called upon in emergency. So there you have it. These are some of the things that I always keep in my forest school bushcrafting kit to help me along on my experiences working with children and young people. Like I say, this isn't for everybody. This is not what everybody wants in their kit. But the idea of this video is really to start you thinking about what do you need when you are out there working with children, young people in adverse conditions, or what would you like to have to hand, maybe just to talk about historically firelighting and link that in with the school curriculum, or help them to develop their fine motor skills and understand the fire triangle more. These are just some of the things that you can have on your person. Yes, cotton wool's great, but wax cotton pads, excellent fire lighting, the true flint and steel, really fun way to light fire, and you can springboard, use that as a springboard for other areas of exploration, just to keep in your kit some modern fire lighting equipment, and to help you along on those difficult days, something like this, the Pro Camp Tech Fat Stick. Tripped over on my words there, but these are things that I would keep in there. Now, another very handy thing to have is one of these. It's a bellows, extendable. All you need to do with this is blow that into the heart of the fire, get your fire going again. One of the instructors that taught me my bushcraft said he got this as a selfie stick, one of the best uses I've ever found for a selfie stick. But again, to get that fire going, one of these in your kit is absolutely brilliant. You can pick these up for a £5 if you've got an old car, and I'm reaming old car. Yeah, you know those radios, the metal radio antennas that extend, they work really well as well. But again, something like a pocket bellows, pick up one of these just to get your fire going, make your life just a little bit easier. And now one of the final things I'm going to talk about is this. This is the Tinder teaser by Beaver Bushcraft. This is an amazing little kit for fire lighting, and also if you're demonstrating the bow drill, if you're not going full out primitive style, you're not using deer antler or limpet shells, and you're happy to have a frictionless bearing block, this is an amazing piece of kit to have in your repertoire. These serrated edges help you tease out tinder on red cedar or a bit of silver birch, excuse me. This sharp end here can be used as a ferro rod spark, to create a spark from a ferro rod should you lose what is already provided, the striker, on your ferro rod. So I always keep this in my pack because that does throw a pretty decent spark. One of the things that I like most about this is this little divot here, and that acts as a bearing block for bow drill. Yes, obviously if we're going to be purists, then bow drill with a piece of wood or a limpet shell or antler or any other natural materials are the way forward. But if you're giving a quick demonstration of friction fire, particularly maybe some kids who aren't that patient, then the Tinder teaser from Beaver Bushcraft is absolutely amazing. I was just lucky to pick this up at the Bushcraft show a couple of years ago, and honestly I've not looked back. It's so good for bushcraft activities. It's really good for bow drill, for using it for tinder, preparing tinder, any of that sort of stuff. Just put it in your kit, they are brilliant. And to give you an idea how this tinder teas would work, so I've got a bit of a silver birch bark here, Betula pendula. Again, nice way for this is, one, it increases children's firelighting capabilities using a natural material. Also helps them with their tree identification, which really good part of a forest school is getting them to connect with nature a bit more. And all you do is tease up a bit of the bark like so. Whoops, we'll see if this works. And then strike down using your ferro rod. Oh, stay over there. And there you go. Silver birch is a light and another natural fire lighting material to use. Word of caution on this really does, it kind of folds in on itself, and if you get it caught on your hand it does burn pretty nasty, so you've got to be very cautious when using this material, but that's a conversation for another day. So that is one of my forest school bushcrafting fire lighting kit. It's the things that I take out with me all the time. Even if I'm going out on a camping trip or a wild camp, a solo camp, I'll take something like this bag and containing these sorts of items and materials to help me light a fire, get a fire going quickly, but to also offer educational opportunities along the way as well. I hope this video was useful to you. I hope it helps you think about your kit and what you're taking out there. Obviously, when we're working with fire, we have to be very careful and consider the safety elements. This is the equipment. Obviously, you also need to ensure that you have your first aid equipment in case of any accidents, but also, you know, your own caution, common sense, awareness that we are working with fire. It can be a dangerous element if not worked with correctly and treated with respect. But hopefully you got something from this video. You might be thinking, oh, actually I wouldn't use that, but I would use this and I really like this. By all means, put something in comments and let me know. This is not the absolute kit, this is just something I've got now and something I thought I'd like to talk about quickly tonight. I hope it does help you on your own forest school journey, your own bushcraft journey, or your outdoor education journey, or your own personal journeys in the outdoors. Stay safe, keep well. See you folks.